Okay, all, welcome to an all levels flow. I have Charlene here with me today. It's going to be a quickie, no arm flow, for our all levels class today. Charlene is double vaccinated, I'm double vaccinated, but I wasn't sure how my arms would feel when I was teaching this class, so I was like, we're just not doing any planks or down dogs, so we're on board with that today. So you need a couple of blocks, you need a strap, we're going to start your legs up the wall. So put your booty on the wall, and you'll swing your legs up the wall. Make sure you have a loop as you come to the wall. And if you don't have a strap, it's not a big deal. You don't even need a strap when you come up here. But we're going to use it for some resistance on one leg. So bring those legs up and keep your strap handy, and we'll just hang out here and get used to being in this inverted state for a few breaths. And you can too. Or we could just stay here for 20 minutes. That would be good too. That would not be a bad thing at all. All right. So bring the loop onto your left foot. And instead of moving the left leg like you would typically think of a Supta Padangusthasana, a strap to big toe pose, we're going to keep that foot where it is and put the straps both in your left hand. Resist your strap a little bit. So keep this leg engaged. And swing the right leg up. Let that leg just come down the wall to wherever it's going to go, right? Now, if you've got a block and your leg doesn't want to come all the way down, you can tuck a block. Do you need a block? Okay. So you can put a block underneath that leg too, so you can keep resisting the strap on the left foot, but let your right leg relax and stretch on its own down here, so you're not really stressing that right leg out in any way. And again, if you don't have a strap, you can just let this leg rest at the wall. Flex your foot a little more to keep it engaged. We're using the strap for that. And a couple more breaths here. Use the strength of your adductors, your core to suction that leg back up the wall. One strap in each hand, switch and put the right foot into the loop and take the left foot out. Put both straps in the right hand this time. And take a breath here. And slowly let your left leg come out. Now here again, if you'd like to put a block underneath your leg, I like it just because then I don't have to work so hard. I can relax into the block and my leg will stretch on its own. I don't feel like I'm using muscle energy to hold it there. I get a better extension and stretch in my adductors. Gotta get over this using blocks and props as crutches, right? They actually help us deepen our experience of the practice. Keep resisting the strap with the right foot so you keep that whole right leg engaged. And one more breath here. Again, use the inner thigh and your core to kind of suction that leg all the way back. And you can release the strap now from your right foot, set it off the side. Bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet together for a little butterfly on the wall here. You can put your hands on your inner thighs or your knees and hang out, opening up the hips and hip flexors for a few breaths. Take one more breath here. And slowly draw your knees together. Walk your feet down the wall to the right. Just curl
can pad your knees with a blanket, anything like that, pad your knees with a blanket. And we'll start to move through some slow cat and cow. Take your time.
Let the breath guide the movement.
If you need to hang out in one or the other for a full inhale and exhale rather than shifting between the two, there's an invitation to do that as well. A couple more rounds of cat and cow. And bring your spine back to neutral. Grab a block and place it between your hands and table. Pause right here. Bring your left fingertips behind your head and begin to lift your left elbow up and stretch your left side. Tap your left elbow down like you could reach the block, but you're just hovering. Inhale the left elbow up and exhale it down. Do that one more time, up and down. This time bring your elbow up, but stretch your arm up as high as it'll go. And again, don't tax your shoulder too much. Just notice what your range of motion is right now. Take a breath. Take this left forearm now down to the block. So bring your forearm to the block and raise your right arm up as high as it'll go. Doesn't have to be really far. Soften that right shoulder and maybe wiggle your wrist a little bit. And now that you're off that wrist, give it a break. And then float your right hand down. Come back to table. Bring your right fingertips up to the back of the head or behind your right ear. Float your right elbow up. And bring it back down. And float it up. And down. One more time, this range of motion. And down. This time we'll lift the elbow and extend your right arm. Soften your right shoulder. Deep breath here. Take the right forearm down to the block and lift your left arm wherever it's going to go. Again, maybe you wiggle your wrist or your fingers here. Give it a break. And come back, table pose. Shift back to child's pose. Grab your block, short edges of the block with your hands, soften your elbows, and tap your head to the floor. You can do this in puppy pose too if that's a better option. Hanging onto the block, lightly begin to bring the block as if you could tap it to the back of your heart. That might mean you need to widen your elbows a little more. Just bend and stretch your arms a few times. Bend your elbows like you could tap your heart. Take it back. Again, you can do this from puppy or child or somewhere in between. A few times. And do that one more time. Bend your elbows like you can tap your heart. And bring the block back down. Rise back up to table, keeping that block between your hands. So we're going to do a little low back release, and this is an homage to Lara Hyman. If you don't follow her on Instagram, she's pretty awesome. She's a physical therapist and a yoga teacher, and she's always got some good tips. So this is from her. So take your left arm and bring it all the way up. Bring your forearm back to the block. Now for her, she threads it all the way under to get this next movement, but it's really hard on my shoulder, so we'll modify. Bring your forearm to the block, and you're going to kick the right leg out in a fire hydrant motion. Bring your right knee back down, sweep your left arm back up. Left forearm down, kick your right leg out. Right knee down, left arm up, last time. Left forearm down, and kick your right leg out. And bring it back to center. That's fun, isn't it? Yeah, something new. I always like something new. Keep your left hand down, raise your right arm up, and bring your right forearm down and kick your left leg out. Bring your left knee down, sweep your right arm up, and right forearm down and kick your leg out. One more time, sweep up, and forearm down, and kick it out. And back to center. Nice job. You
You can set the blocks out to the front of the mat now. We'll use them. Where is my other block? For the flow. So coming into a low lunge, we'll step forward with the right foot first. Grab your blocks. Take a breath here. You can pull the left knee back a little bit. Sink and soften those hips. Bring your hands up to your thigh and we'll take a side bend. So keep your right hand on your thigh. Reach your left arm up. Pure little bend over to the side. Stretch long from the left waist to the ribs, to the armpit, to the fingertips. Get that full extension on the side body. Working with a lot of length today in our body, wherever that might be. And then bring it back to center. Come back half Hanuman. Send your hips back, your toes up. Stretch your hamstrings. If you can wave your toes in the air like you just don't care, turn your toes to the right and your toes to the left. Kind of getting to the inside and the outside of the leg. Go nice and slow and explore. And then we'll bring those toes back to center. Bend your knee, lift your back knee, and start to stretch that right leg long. Again, stretching the hamstrings in this modified pyramid. Now my left heel is still lifted. My hips are square, my heart is reaching forward. Soft bend in that right knee. A couple breaths here. Bend your right knee, find a standing split, whatever that looks like. So hands reach forward, foot reaches up. So you can externally rotate your hips, you can internally rotate, you can wiggle a little bit. Maybe your toes are barely floating away from the floor, and maybe they're straight up and above your left hip or somewhere in between. It's all standing split. Bring your left foot down and step your right foot back, coming into lunge on the second side. So drop your right knee down, left knee is over the heel, and hang out for a couple breaths. Get heavy here. Explore any sensations you might be having in your hips and your hip flexor. And then float your hands to your left thigh, upright your spine, reach your right arm up, and a high five over to the left. Again, breathe through your ribs, get really long here. Full breath in, complete breath out. Raise your arm back up and find your blocks again. Come back half Hanuman, hips go back, toes go up. And a little wave of that foot might be appropriate for you, might not. So if you want to explore, explore, keep your spine nice and long, wiggle your hips out. And slowly shift your toes back to center. We'll bend the left knee, coming off of the right heel. Might need to step that in a little bit. Extend your left leg long now, coming into that modified pyramid. So the right heel can float, or maybe you stepped in enough that it's on the floor. But keep your spine long, your hips as balanced as you can get them, which may mean a little tweaking of that left hip, bringing it back. Stay connected to your breath, to any sensations in your hamstrings. And then bend the left knee and walk forward into standing split again. So somewhere off the floor, that right leg lifts. And take another breath. Bring your right foot down next to your left. Halfway lift, inhale. And let it go, exhale. Hang out here for a couple of breaths. Shake your head out now and yes. Soften your jaw. And bring your hands up to your waist and rise all the way up to stand. Stretch up and float your hands to your heart. Bring yourself back more to the center of your mat. And we'll start with a marching movement here. So we did this the other day. Feeling good in Warrior 3? We'll see how we're doing. So you can bring your hands to your heart, to your hips, see where your balance is after you do a few marching movements. And then we'll float in and out of a Warrior 3 a few times. So begin to lift the left knee and the right knee. And just explore again the range of motion in your hips here. And And the next time you set your left foot down, hold your right knee up and find a focal point. Just hold it up there using the strength of your core and your leg. Hands to hips, to heart, next to you, whatever works. Float your leg back. Heart forward. And we'll come right back up. The next time you do it, pause and hold. So extend your foot back and hold right there. And if you've got blocks there and you feel better tapping your hands to the blocks, do that. And slowly bring your knee back to center. Awesome. And then march it out a few times here. Get that openness in the outer hips again. The next time you set your right foot down, do it really carefully and lift your left knee. Find a focal point, a drishti. Hold your leg up using your core and your hip flexor. And here again, we'll float it back for a warrior 3 for a beat. And then bring it back up. And the second time we do it, we're going to hold. So float your leg back and hold right there. Again, you've got blocks there. You can use your arms for balance. Be okay with all the little wiggling in the ankle. Ooh. Take another breath. And slowly bring that knee back to center. I'm the wiggly one today. And shake your legs out. All right, bring your left pinky toe back to the wall and step your right foot in towards the center of the mat. Turn your right toes for warrior 2. So make sure your knee lands over your heel, not beyond it. Yeah, and then extend your arms, just lightly rest your left hand on the wall behind you. Take a deep breath here and reverse your warrior. So you can keep your hand on the wall or bring it on your back leg. But take your gaze down to the crease of the floor on the wall. Keep your right knee widening out so it's not collapsing in. Take a breath. Come back to warrior 2. Begin to stretch this right leg. Really get long through your limbs. So drag your feet apart now and float your hand behind your shin, coming into triangle pose. Keep a lot of space. We're working that extension of the side body and the legs and the arms today, so get super bright in all directions. From heart to hands, from hips to feet. Draw your belly in. From belly to heart, get really radiant. Take another breath in. And a full breath out. Rise back up. Bend into that knee. And we'll turn your toes all in the same direction. Find a forward fold. So you can bring your hands to your hips. You can use your strap. You can interlace behind you. Stretch and open the chest. And bow forward. Keep a softness to your knees. And just hang out here. Shake your head out. No and yes. Root down into your feet and slowly rise back up. Switch sides. So step away from the wall, bring the pinky toe, go right foot next to the wall. Step your left foot into the center of the mat so you're wide enough that when you turn those left toes and bend your knee, it's over your heel. Coming into warrior 2, right hand at the wall, left hand to the front of the room. Drag your left heel in towards the wall. Keep those adductors engaged and reverse your warrior. Again, hand can stay at the wall or you can bring it down your leg. Or Charlene's got a half bind, which is a great choice too. Let your neck and shoulders relax here by bringing your gaze down. And take one more breath here. And open it up to warrior 2 again. Stretch the left leg. Now drag your feet away from the midline of the mat. Open your arms for triangle. Float your hand behind your knee or your shin or your thigh. And reach up with your right hand like you had a balloon tethered to your wrist. So rather than thinking about dumping down, think about lifting up and getting really radiant from the heart to the hands, from the hips to the heels. Drag your feet apart like you're just bursting with energy and it wants to go straight out of the center of your body. Take one more breath here. Full breath out. And rise back up. Bend your knee. And we'll turn the left toes in the same direction as the right toes. Again, same options. You can use the strap, you can interlace, you can just bring your hands to the floor. Find a forward fold.
And you've got the wall right there to help with stability. So if you want to move a little bit, you can do that. Shake your head out. Keep those knees micro bent though, whatever choice you make. Root down into your feet and slowly rise back up. Hop or heel toe your feet together. And we're going to come down and measure our legs here. So bring yourself down to sit right in the crease of the wall. And flex your feet. Place your blocks right where your heels are. End of the blocks. So if you were a cartoon character and you could go bing and pop right up between the blocks, you would be standing directly between the blocks. We're not cartoon characters, so we're going to bend our knees and come up. And we'll stand right between the blocks. So this is about a leg's distance, but that means we need to move the blocks slightly forward. So now pick up the blocks and bring them next to your pinky toes. So we're going to work a couple of balance poses, but we'll use the wall here. So we'll work some warrior 3, and we'll work some half loop. So if you've got your loop, you can grab your loop. You might want to use it, you might not. It makes it a little more challenging. As my class told me on Friday, you said no arms. Well, then don't use the strap, right? Just keep your hands on the blocks. All right, so bring your hands down to the blocks, whatever level you like. I'm gonna bring mine up a little higher. And then keeping your left foot on the floor, reach your right foot back. Now in theory, you should be a leg's distance. If you need to futz it a little bit, futz it a little bit. And your toes should turn down for this first pose, which is warrior 3. So from your heel at the wall to your head, get really long, connect to your core, balance your hips. You can stay right here. Maybe you want to hover your hands. Maybe you want to grab your strap and reach your arms forward, so finding that resistance and tautness in the strap. Maybe you want to reach your hands back, or stay with the safety of the blocks, which is also lovely and still challenging. So soften that left knee a little bit. Keep widening the thighs and get really bright again, like you're bursting with energy here. One more breath, and return to the safety of the blocks. Keep your left hand on the block and start to externally rotate your right toes out. So we're finding the half moon shape by stacking the right hip on top of the left. Now you can keep your gaze on the floor, bring your gaze down, your hand to your hip, and work the action of turning your chest to the right. Keep the left knee a little soft, body is still really bright. Maybe you extend your arm up. You've got the safety of the wall and the floor stabilizing you in this pose. Use it. Maybe you can turn your gaze. Maybe you can float your hand away from the block or the floor. One more breath. And again, back to the safety of the blocks and release your right foot from the wall. Woo. Balance out your hips a little bit. Bend and stretch, wiggle it out, shimmy it out. Forward fold. Whew. We make it look so easy, Jolynn. It's harder than it looks, right? Mm-hmm. All right, hands back to the safety of the blocks again. Right foot stays on the floor, left leg floats to the wall, and now you'll figure out which leg is the longest. You might need to wiggle forward or wiggle back. And again, keeping the hips and sacrum as balanced as you can get them, you can stay right here on the blocks. Make sure the blocks are right underneath your shoulders. Soften the right knee and work those actions in the legs, the core, the heart. Maybe you want to float your arms back like Charlene is doing, or float them out to the side like wings, or forward, or back to the safety of the blocks. One more breath wherever you landed, and we'll all come back to the blocks. Keep your right hand on the block, and again, externally rotate the left toes. So you're bringing that foot back so the hips are now in line. You're stacking the hips on top of the right heel. Now you can continue to hold on to your hip and work on that turn of the chest to the left side of your mat.
Maybe you want to extend the left arm. Maybe you'll turn your gaze to the left because you have the stability of the wall and the floor. It's more challenging to do in the middle of the room to turn your gaze. But with the stability of the wall, it really helps. So get long from the left heel to the hip to the head. Maybe you can float that right hand away from the floor. Maybe you want to stretch them forward. Ooh, you can grab the strap too. Take another breath here. Back to the safety of the blocks. I couldn't find them there for a minute. Turn your toes down and bring your left foot down to meet your right. Ooh, bend and stretch your legs again. Shimmy it out, shift it out. And we'll find a little chair pose, elbows to the thighs for some cat and cow. So put the forearms on the thighs. Stretch your chest forward, your thighs back, your hips back. And then find a little curve to the spine. Neutralizing the spine here. Inhale, stretch your heart. And exhale, curve your spine. Inhale, stretch, heart forward, back bend. And exhale, curl. And one more time. Inhale, open it up. And exhale, curl. Find a neutral spine, root into your feet, slowly rise all the way up. Stretch your arms up, your heart up. Reach. And bring your hands to your heart. Let's spin around and face the wall, coming a shin's distance from the wall for Suchi Randrasana. So you can bring a block along with you, and we'll neutralize the spine from there too. So grab a block, bring that with you as well. But for now, just staying on the floor so you're a shin's distance from the wall. So your knees are above your hips and your heels are coming straight out of the knees. Snuggle your shoulders underneath you. And starting here with this 90-degree bend, cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Give a gentle press into the base of the right thigh. And we're hanging out and breathing. Warrior 3 and half moon are awesome poses, and the wall is super helpful, but they're still very challenging. So come back to your breath, catch up to it. Let that heartbeat slow down. And keep your leg crossed over. Bring your left hand behind your head. So very similar to the movement we did earlier. See if you can do your best to keep those hips balanced on the floor, sacrum balanced. So without moving that in any way, connect to your core and slowly begin to curl that left elbow up and over as if you could get it towards the knee. But once you feel your core connect, just hold it. That's all I want you to do. Slowly bring your elbow and shoulder back down. We'll do 2 more of those, super slow-mo, right? So lift your chest, and as if you could tap your knee, but keeping the sacrum and pelvis heavy and level, bring it back down. And we'll do that one more time. Lift your chest, curl towards the right knee, and slowly release your head. Release your right leg, uncross it, and switch sides. Left ankle goes over the right thigh. Gentle press at the base of the left thigh. And you'll continue to hold this press the entire way through. Bring your right hand behind your head. Take a breath here. Keeping the core connected, the pelvis really level. Begin to curl and lift the chest as if you could get the right elbow towards the left knee. Inhale, slow release to the earth. And we'll do that again. Exhale, curl, coming up and over. Inhale, slow release. And one more time. Curl the belly down and lift the chest. Elbow reaches across. And slowly lower it down. Relax your head to the floor and release your left foot from the wall. Pause right here, or left foot from your thigh. Press into the wall, lift your hips enough to get the block at the lowest level under your Press into the wall, lift your hips, place the block right there. So maybe you want to stay right here, maybe you want to extend your legs and flex your feet. That's a good option too. So much nicer balance poses, isn't it? Oh, restorative. Arms can go wherever the arms go. Keep coming back to that easy balance breath. Take one more breath here. Begin to bend your knees if your legs are long. Push into the wall and remove the block. And bring your hips down. Bring your feet down just a titch bit wider than your hips for constructive rest. And let your knees kiss at the middle of the mat. Bring a hand to your belly, a hand to your heart. Close your eyes. We'll take a few moments here for a short shavasana. Begin to slowly stretch our arms out to a T shape. And from constructive rest, start to windshield wiper your knees to the left and to the right a few times. Take your time, move really slow. The next time you move your knees to the right, we'll roll all the way over onto your right side. You curl up there. Use your upper arm as a pillow for your head. And press your left hand into the floor, being really mindful of the wall. Slowly bring yourself up to a comfortable seat. Swing your legs around. Take a moment to sit up in whatever your comfortable seat looks like. Stack your head over your heart, over your hips, and roll your shoulders back a few times. Close your eyes or take your drishti to the floor and notice any sensations in your physical body right now. We did a little bit of everything here without doing a plank pose or a chaturanga or a downward facing dog even today. Draw your hands to your heart or stack your hands on top of your heart. Take a moment to set an intention, bring to mind a mantra, a phrase, a quote that you can carry with you through your day today, or perhaps there's someone in your life who needs a little extra love sent their way. And do that now. Thanks so much to you for taking time to share a practice with Charlene and I. Thanks to Charlene for being my lovely, willing model. And gratitude to all of you. Let's bow together as we say, Namaste.
Namaste, Charlene.
Namaste.